They told us black bodies were only worth something bent over a field, only worth something sweating in the dirt, only worth something serving someone else's dream. That was the lie they built this country on. But here is what they never tell you. One black woman's body did not just serve somebody else's dream. It became the foundation of an entire civilization of science. And they stole it right out of her, without asking, without telling. And then they erased her name. Her cells have been inside every major medical breakthrough for over 70 years. The polio vaccine, the HPV vaccine, IVF, cancer research, COVID-19, space exploration, 3 Nobel Prizes, more than 100 corporations making money off what they took from her. And while all of that was happening, her children could not afford health insurance. Her name was Henrietta Lacks. And by the time we are done here today, you are going to understand that modern medicine does not exist without what was taken from a black woman they tried to make disappear. This is not just her story. This is proof of a system. And that proof is going to hit you different by the end. But to understand what was stolen, you have to understand where she came from. Picture Clover, Virginia, a tobacco farm. Rows of plants stretching out under a hot summer sky. The same land where Henrietta's ancestors were enslaved. Not near that land. Not land like that land. The exact same land. Her grandfather, Tommy Lacks, was farming the same ground that had once held her people in chains. And that is where Henrietta grew up. That is where she learned to work. That is where she fell in love with her cousin David Lacks, who everyone called Day. She was born on August 1st, 1920. She grew up knowing what it meant to pour yourself into something and get almost nothing back. By 1941, she and Day were married. By the early 1940s, they had moved north to Turner Station in Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore was supposed to be a better life. More opportunity, more hope. 5 children, a real home. And for a few years it was. Then something went wrong inside her body. She started bleeding when she should not have been bleeding. She felt something in her womb that was not right. She knew something was wrong before any doctor told her. In January 1951, Henrietta walked into Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. Let that sink in for a moment. Johns Hopkins was the most advanced hospital in the region. It was also one of the only hospitals in Baltimore where black patients could receive free care. And the black patients who came there for that free care, they often became research subjects, without being asked, without being told. Henrietta came in with pain. She was 30 years old. A doctor named Howard Jones examined her and found a large malignant tumor on her cervix. Cervical cancer. Advanced. Aggressive. The diagnosis was devastating. Here is what happened next, and pay close attention. In February 1951, while Henrietta was being treated, a doctor took 2 tissue samples from her cervix, one healthy, one cancerous. He gave them to a researcher named Dr. George Guy. Nobody asked Henrietta. Nobody told Henrietta. The samples just left her body and walked right into a laboratory. Now, Johns Hopkins and their defenders will tell you this was legal in the 1950s. They will tell you consent was not required for tissue samples at the time. And they are technically right about the law. But ask yourself this: who made those laws? Who were those laws written to protect? Because all across the country, black patients, poor patients, patients who had no power and no choice, those were the ones who kept ending up on the research table. The law did not make it right. It just made it quiet. Here is where this story takes a turn that should make your jaw drop. Dr. George Guy took those cells and put them in a culture in his lab. Every other human cell scientist had ever tried to grow in a laboratory died within a few days. Every single one. But Henrietta's cells did not die. They doubled. Then they doubled again. Every 24 hours, they divided and multiplied. They kept growing. They would not stop. They were, for the first time in the history of science, immortal human cells. Dr. Guy named them HeLa, H for Henrietta, L for Lax. And then he gave them away to researchers all over the world, for free, to anyone who asked. Henrietta never knew any of this. She was lying in a hospital bed. Her body was being consumed by the cancer. On August 8, 1951, the pain became unbearable. She was admitted to Johns Hopkins full-time. She never left. On October 4, 1951, Henrietta Lacks died. She was 31 years old. She left behind 5 children. The youngest was barely a toddler. And even after she was gone, doctors took more cell samples from her body during the autopsy. They kept taking. Even in death, she never got to rest. But here is where the full picture gets even bigger than just one woman, one hospital, and one theft. While Henrietta was dying in that hospital bed, a scientist named Jonas Salk was trying to save the world from polio. Polio was destroying children across America. Parents were terrified. The country needed a vaccine fast, but to test it, Salk needed massive amounts of cells, tens of thousands of cultures every single week. And the answer to that problem was HeLa, Henrietta's cells. In October 1952, the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis reached out to the Tuskegee Institute, a historically black university in Alabama, and asked them to set up a HeLa cell factory, a black university, black scientists. Dr. Russell Brown and Dr. James Henderson running the production line, shipping out 20,000 tube cultures a week at peak capacity. Stop and hold that image. At the exact same time, the infamous Tuskegee syphilis experiment was destroying black men nearby. Black scientists at the very same institution were building the infrastructure that would save millions of lives worldwide. The same city, the same era, black people simultaneously being betrayed by American medicine and holding it up on their shoulders. By 1955, Salk's polio vaccine was approved. Children across the world were protected. Henrietta Lacks made that possible. Her cells made that possible. The whole time, her family had no idea. That detail matters. Hold on to it, because we are about to go deeper. And hey family, real talk. YouTube has shut down channels for telling exactly these kinds of stories. So I need you to find us off this platform. Go to blackstories-untold.com, join our mailing list, and make sure we stay connected no matter what they do. Now, back to what happened. From the 1950s onward, HeLa cells became the engine of modern medicine. Scientists used them to count human chromosomes accurately for the first time in history. They went into early space capsules, sent up to learn how human cells respond to radiation and zero gravity. They were used to develop the foundations of in vitro fertilization. In the 1980s, a researcher named Dr. Harold Zerhausen discovered that Henrietta's original cells carried the human papillomavirus strain HPV-18. He proved it caused cervical cancer. That work won him the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2008. It also led directly to the creation of the HPV vaccine, which scientists predict will cut cervical cancer deaths by 70%. A vaccine that protects girls today came from the cells stolen from a black woman in 1951. 3 Nobel Prizes total. More than 100 corporations building product lines. Over 110,000 published scientific papers citing HeLa cells between 1953 and 2018. 11,000 patents. A multi-billion-dollar industry. And the Lacks family? They were struggling to pay their medical bills. No insurance, no trust fund, no royalties, nothing. And this is where everything connects, because it was not just poverty, it was active erasure. For years, the cells were not even credited to Henrietta Lacks. Scientists circulated them under fake names. Helen Lane, Harriet Lane. The real name was buried. A black woman's identity was scrubbed from her own greatest contribution to human history. Her name was not publicly confirmed as the source of HeLa cells until 1973, more than 2 decades after her death. 2 decades. While her cells were saving lives in laboratories on every continent, her children did not even know she was in those laboratories. The family found out the truth in 1975. Scientists had been trying to solve a problem with HeLa cell contamination, meaning Henrietta's cells had gotten into other cell cultures and were taking over. They needed genetic data from the Lacks family to sort it out. So researchers contacted Henrietta's son Lawrence and his brothers. They did not explain why. They did not tell the family what was really happening. Henrietta's children thought they were being screened for cancer. They gave their blood. They went home not understanding that their mother was alive in labs around the world, her cells multiplying every single day, her biology powering discoveries that were making other people famous and rich. Imagine being Deborah Lax, Henrietta's daughter, finding out your mother, who you barely knew because she died when you were a baby, had been living inside laboratories your whole life, that other people were getting rich and famous because of her, that her name had been hidden, swapped out, erased, that the very science that could have helped your family understand your own health risks was locked inside institutions that treated you like an afterthought. Deborah spent decades fighting to know the truth about her mother. She spent her life trying to get the world to say Henrietta's name correctly. She died in 2009, the year before a book finally made the whole world pay attention. That book was The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, written by journalist Rebecca Skloot and published in 2010. It stayed on the New York Times bestseller list for 75 weeks, more than 3 million copies sold. Skloot had spent 10 years reporting the story, building a real relationship with Deborah before Deborah passed. The book forced the world to reckon with what had been done. In 2013, German scientists published the full HeLa genome online, again without the family's consent, and the backlash was massive. That same year, the NIH finally sat down with the Lax family and negotiated an agreement that gave the family some say over who could access Henrietta's genetic data. It was the first time in over 60 years that the Lax family had any control over anything connected to Henrietta's body. In 2017, HBO released a film starring Oprah Winfrey as Deborah Lax and Renee Elise Goldsberry as Henrietta. Millions of people who had never heard the name Henrietta Lacks suddenly knew it. And then came 2021. On October 4th, exactly 70 years to the day after Henrietta died, her estate filed a lawsuit against Thermo Fisher Scientific, one of the largest life science companies in the world. One of the companies that had been mass producing and selling HeLa cell products for decades, making enormous profits, giving nothing back. The lawsuit was led by Henrietta's grandson, Ron Lax, with civil rights attorney Ben Crump by his side. The same Ben Crump who represents families of Black people lost to police violence. On August 1st, 2023, what would have been Henrietta's 103rd birthday, the estate reached a confidential settlement with Thermo Fisher Scientific. Terms were sealed, but the message was not. More lawsuits followed. Ultragenyx Pharmaceutical was sued next, and the fight is not over. Now here is what all of this means put together, because this is bigger than one woman, one hospital, and one company. Henrietta Lacks grew up on the land where her enslaved ancestors were worked to death. She moved north to find something better. She was treated at the only hospital that would take her because of her race. Her cells were taken without her consent because the system decided that her body's value was something to extract, not something to protect. Her name was erased because the system decided her identity was inconvenient. Her family was kept in the dark because the system decided their grief and their rights were irrelevant. And while all of that was happening, her stolen cells were saving millions of lives, winning Nobel Prizes, building a global industry worth more money than most of us can imagine. This is not an accident. This is the same pattern that built the tobacco farms in Clover, Virginia. Extract the labor, extract the value, discard the person, deny the name. The method changed, the math stayed the same. They went from taking Black people's work to taking Black people's biology, from owning the body in the field to owning the cell in the laboratory. And they never planned on anyone finding out. But Henrietta Lacks is not erased anymore. Her name is on a school in Virginia. Her face is on a bronze statue in Roanoke, Virginia, placed there on October 4th, 2023, on the exact spot where a statue of a Confederate general used to stand. Her cells are still in laboratories right now, today, doing what they have always done, growing, surviving, refusing to die. She was never just a patient. She was never just a research subject. She was a woman from a tobacco farm who outlasted every single person who tried to erase her. Modern medicine owes her a debt it can never fully repay, and you needed to know her name. This was Black Stories Untold, and as always, thanks for watching. If you want more stories like this, click the video on your screen now.